Well, let's bring in two women who are right in the middle of empowering and uplifting other women. Hafsat Abiola Costello is a human and civil rights campaigner and the executive president of Women in Africa initiative. She joins us from Brussels. And Bisila Bokoko, a businesswoman and philanthropist, and sits on a UN program that supports up-and-coming entrepreneurs. She joins us from New York. Thank you, ladies, for taking time to talk to us on the program. Bisila, let me start with you. You've had that conversation in that clip. You are a coach. What do you tell potential entrepreneurs or even employees on how to successfully negotiate their way, especially in the corporate world?
Well, I think that you have to have a clear plan about what do you want. And it's very important that whatever you believe that you're going to have, you have to leave the room with that number. Women in general, we are a little bit scared of numbers. And we have a tendency to look for less money than men because in our mindsets, we believe that we could not get more. So it's very important that ever since you start your job, that you really have a clear understanding about what do you want. And I think that when you are self-confident and when you really believe that you are able and that's your value, and no one have to take that value out of you, I think that it's totally possible to get the wages that you're looking for.
Hafsat, let me bring you in, Hafsat, because you are the president of the Women in Africa initiative. Has the continent made any significant strides when it comes to better balance?
Actually, the continent shows diversity in achievement, because you look at countries like South Africa, like Rwanda, Ghana, and they're doing quite well. Tunisia is doing incredibly well. Then you have other countries that are not giving women equal opportunity, as well as these shining stars. Actually, where we focus at Women in Africa is not so much just on the women, the individual women, but we also focus on the context, the companies they work for. One of the projects that we're doing now is with Société Générale, a global bank that has its footprint across Africa. And this bank is committed to ensuring gender equality across its entire operations, from the entry level, which is easy to achieve, but also at the very top levels of the bank. And they're doing a lot of work to push for that, using policy, looking at bias in evaluation of women, and so many other factors, because it's not just the women who may not rank themselves as well as men do, but often society is also prejudicial towards women.
So there are companies that are deliberately going out of their way to create spaces for women. I wonder, though, in terms of the countrywide look, how receptive are countries when it comes to embracing enabling policies?
I think that more and more African countries understand that to make progress, we need to give a fair level playing field for women. And we even have to do more than a level playing field. Sometimes we have to give additional support for women to counter the effects of traditional prejudice and historical injustice. But the truth is that oftentimes in their societies there's pushback, there's resistance. The King of Morocco has been in the forefront of pushing women's rights in Morocco. And sometimes he has to deal with some of the conservative religious bodies in his country. And so it makes it very difficult to have progress, which is why women also have to organize. We have to be our own champions.
Yeah.
We have to support these men that want to reform their systems as well.
Let me bring in Bisila, and this is a question that, you know, it's quite controversial. Are women their own worst enemies?
Well, I have a tendency that before, yes, and now it's changing. I do believe that we're coming from a time that to be the only one in the room was the normal. So these women who came before us and they have the opportunity to really have positions of power, they were very scared to lose the power. So whenever somebody approached the front line like them, they have a tendency to push it. But I think that it's also coming from the historical perspective that we have to deal with. But I think that in the last few years, my perspective and what I have seen is that women are supporting women.
So what are your tips then for women to support other women? How can we do that?
I believe that if we really want to change something, the person who is a little bit up of the ladder have to grab the hand of the next one and also encourage the new generations. I think mentoring is key. I think it's perfectly normal that whenever we are in the room, that we have how we could change things if we are only one person trying to fight for others. So we need to be together. And I think that the best tip is really to have the confidence that we need to share our power. We need to have a one voice, all together, working together. But mentoring, I think, is one of the key. Also, the education, to have the self-confidence to understand that other women are not a threat.
All right. Bisila Bokoko and Hafsat Abiola Costello, thank you very much indeed for taking time to talk to us on Focus on Africa. Thank you.